Commercial spaceflight providers such as Virgin Galactic continue to find customers in foreign governments. And I don't know how many of you noticed today's Virgin Galactic flight, it contained, or one of the passengers was a Turkish astronaut flown by the Turkish Space Agency. So congratulations, first off, to Virgin Galactic on their Galactic 07 mission, which is their last mission for a while. It's the last mission on that particular vehicle. They are now pausing their missions for about 2 years. They say that they're going to, have their next Delta class vehicles ready by 2025 to start commercial operations in 2026. I'll believe that when I see that. Quite honestly, I fear that Virgin Galactic might not return to flight, given the amount of cash that they're burning, the amount of cash that they have left, and the fact that Sir Richard Branson said that he's no longer going to be funding the company. He let Virgin Orbit go bankrupt. I've had my questions about whether or not this company, Virgin Galactic, can survive for a few years now, but that's not the topic of this video. That's a topic for another day, because today is a celebration of the success of Galactic 07. Just keep their naming structure in mind here. So they flew 4 paying customers, 3 private individuals, 1 flown by the Turkish Space Agency. And I don't know how many of you noticed, but there was a partnership between Axiom Space and Virgin Galactic. And it's one of those things that I hadn't really seen before, but it had been proposed in theory, I guess, that there would be this cooperation between suborbital spaceflight and orbital spaceflight. So the way this worked was that there was a Turkish Space Agency astronaut flown on Axiom 3 to the International Space Station. And the backup astronaut for that particular crew member, he flew in partnership with Virgin Galactic on today's mission. And he flew research experiments and all of that. And so Axiom was really promoting the fact that this backup astronaut for Axiom 3 was now flying to space on a Virgin Galactic flight. 2 different types of missions, right? One is to the International Space Station. One is just up and down in space for a few minutes, but both of them were research missions, both of them paid for by the Turkish Space Agency. And this is a trend I am seeing more and more and more, that non-NASA, non-US governments are willing to pay commercial entities to fly not only their payloads, but their astronauts, their representatives to space. Less than a quarter of the countries of the world have ever flown one member of their country to space. And so the demand is quite high, but there is a large barrier to entry when it comes to, flying through your own vehicles, your own national vehicles, or going through the process of like European Space Agency or some other collaboration like that. Most space agencies around the world, if there is a space agency in that country, just can't afford that. So what they're doing is they're partnering with Axiom Space, with SpaceX, with Virgin Galactic, with Blue Origin, with all these spaceflight providers, these commercial spaceflight providers that are then getting them to space. Now, of course, Axiom doesn't do it by themselves. Axiom partners with SpaceX for that transportation. But we are seeing this this money coming in, not through wealthy individuals necessarily. The other 3 were, I assume, wealthy individuals who paid their own way. They have a list. I didn't look into who these people are exactly yet. But they paid their own way, most likely. And that 4th individual paid by the Turkish government, the Turkish Space Agency. So that's what we're seeing is a lot of these countries, especially European countries, that are just waiting and waiting and waiting for their turn to go through ESA, which is probably like never happening, or like once in every decade or 2 happening. Instead of waiting in that line, they're just bypassing that line and they're going through Axiom, or in this case, Axiom and Virgin. And I find that very fascinating. I believe this trend is going to really continue. There is so much demand. There is almost unlimited demand here in terms of governments that are willing to pay whatever money it takes. They might not have the money set aside for building their own vehicles or, setting up an elaborate, sustainable space agency human spaceflight program, but they have the money to pay Axiom Space, to pay Virgin Galactic, to pay SpaceX, to pay whoever it is to send somebody up once, whether it's suborbital, whether it's orbital, whether it's both in the case of the Turkish Space Agency. And these companies in the United States, most likely, every company I just named, they're based in the United States, these commercial companies, they are more than willing to take that money because these companies are still trying to find their, their customer base, their market. And of course, their market is those private individuals who are willing to pay their own way through their own pockets, but also these governments around the world who, for geopolitical reasons, for, national pride reasons, for STEM education reasons, for any reason you want, they want to fly their own representatives to space. And I find this to be a growing trend that is going to accelerate as access to space and continues. Because right now it's still very limited, right? We've had very few Virgin Galactic flights, and now they're pausing for, year and a half, 2 years, or forever. Unfortunately, these companies, these emerging space companies, they need to find a sustainable customer base. And they do have some repeat customers, but mostly it's going to be from the almost unlimited demand of customers around the world paid for by governments. So yeah, once again, congratulations to the Galactic 07 astronauts. They did get past that Kármán line. And so they are technically astronauts according to international definitions. Whether or not you agree with that or not, that's another story. But I believe that they are astronauts, and I'm very excited that they came back and landed safely, because it's never a guarantee. So it was an exciting day. I was not able to watch it live. I've been out and about. It's a Saturday, so I was out and about. But I usually do watch the NASA spaceflight unofficial feed. There is no official feed, and I was able to watch the replay when I got home, and following along with the tweets in real time as well. Now I'm going to be curious to watch for the one remaining suborbital spaceflight provider that is operational, and that's Blue Origin. So who is going to be on Blue Origin's next manifests, and how frequently are they going to fly now that they have recovered from their incident and they have started to fly crews again? Who is going to be on there? Is it all going to be single individuals, wealthy individuals who have paved their own way? Or is it going to be representatives like from Space for Humanity, like with Flew last time? Or is it going to be these government representatives? So very curious to see how this progresses. I can definitely tell you that Axiom is jumping on board this potential of non-US governments paying Axiom for not just flights to the International Space Station, but Axiom is looking ahead to its own space station and the Axiom station, and they need to fill that. They need customers for Axiom station. And so Axiom has definitely noticed that there is this demand outside of the United States that governments are willing to pay. So good luck to all of them.